And welcome into Getting Help from Uncle Sam. You know, the 2025 session of the legislature is upon us. So we want to get some information about this, what's coming up in this session. We've got with us the Speaker of the House, Nathaniel Ledbetter. Speaker, it's good to have you here, buddy.
It's good to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
Here's the thing I've heard about you. 2 words to describe you: common sense.
Well, it's not, I've heard that's not very common anymore. Common sense isn't very common, so that's a compliment.
It is, absolutely, because basically to do what you've got to do as Speaker of the House, you've got to have some common sense to know which way it's got to go.
Yeah, I mean, you work with 105 members in the House and 35 in the Senate, and you got every day something going on that the issue that they're talking about is important to them.
Yes.
And you got to handle it like that. I mean, it may not be one of those that's going to change the state or it's going to make a dramatic difference, but for them it's a big deal. So you got to handle it that way.
Well, they're representing their constituents.
That's right.
And for them, that's the most important thing.
And it should be. I mean, we talk to our members all the time. Tell them, vote your conscience, and don't worry about a hard vote, because that's not going to beat you at home. What's going to beat you at home is you're not going back home and being around your constituents and fitting their needs and making sure that they have what they need. That's what will get you beat. It's not the votes in Montgomery.
And most people realize the fact that basically the big job you've got is to pass 2 budgets.
That's right. Right.
If you just do all that, you can fold up the tent and go home.
That's right.
But it usually doesn't end that.
That's not. It gets more complicated than that. I think last year we had about 900 bills.
Oh my gosh.
We passed just about 300 of them. We'll generally have about 1,000 bills a year. We'll pass between 300 and 400, most of the time about 325, depending on the session and the length. But you're right. Our only duty constitutionally is passing budgets. That's it, period. But there's laws that people want to get changed and things that they want to do to try to improve the states. We work with them, try to do that.
So what would be probably some of the top priorities for this session?
Well, I think for us, we've worked during the off season with the governor pretty close on some crime package that you'll see us come out with. I feel very good about that. We had a lot of good input from officers across the state, and so we'll bring that up probably at the first part of the session. And I wouldn't be surprised if the governor don't mention interstate of the state, because her staff and my staff's worked hand in hand in trying to put those bills together, and we've had a lot of conversations with a lot of different people across the state. I think it's of huge importance to our state. We've had a tremendous amount of growth over the last few years. The economy is growing at a pace we've never seen. And I think crime's hurting it. I think it's slowing it down some. So we're going to try to work on that and fix it. The thing, Jack, we got to do is we got to quit vilifying police officers, because they protect and serve us every day, and we need to be sure that we make sure that we appreciate what they do.
And of course, we have to realize the fact that those police officers, they put their life on the line, and we're seeing more and more of that, aren't we?
We are, and it's. I don't know, sometimes you wonder where it comes from. I think, social media can be a blessing and a curse, and you wonder if some of it don't come off of that. And, we got more and more homes that's divided or split, or there's some kids that doesn't have parents that finds a different way that maybe gets them in trouble, and then they wind up out on the street. So we got to work on that, and I think it's something that we're certainly going to take to task.
And right on the heels of crime could be mental health.
Yeah, as you know, we've worked on that. I've talked about that before. I work on mental health, and we've come a long way, but we've got a long way to go. We've put a crisis care center in 7 different locations. We've got 15 mobile units. We've got mental health coordinators in every school system. We got crisis intervention for police officers to learn how to react to somebody with a mental health problem. And, we've done a lot. We did the peer-to-peer program, the Stepping Up program, but I think mental health is like a puzzle. You continuously have to put pieces in it. One of the deserts I feel like we're in today is long term. The crisis care center is good, but it's just for a short period of time. So I think what we got to look at is long term, because there's a lot of mental health patients in jails today that should be getting help in hospitals.
Yes, absolutely, and that would keep the prison population down. where it needs to be.
It would. You know, we were mandated by the federal government in one of the new prisons that we're building now that it had to have some type of help for mental health. So, and I think that's good, and we'll see how that works.
Another area is hospitals across the state. Rural areas are really suffering.
They are. I mean, I know that the governor's been looking at that, talked to her last week. We had a meeting, she brought that up, and it's something that they've been meeting with hospitals across the state to see what's the best path to take. You know, we've already lost rural hospitals. I think we've lost about 16, which has gotten to the point.
It's catastrophic.
It's catastrophic. You know, and the one in my district and that I represent was in bad shape and in the process of something happening. Luckily, Huntsville Hospital come in and bought it, and they're doing a fabulous job. I mean, they did a really good job. So some of the models may be changing, and maybe that's something we have to look at, but I do think it's something that needs to be addressed.
And then education, looking at formulas for funding it.
Yeah, we are. We looked at that, and our education budget chairs have done a lot of work with that, and they've come back with maybe a weighted formula, which means they put more money in those areas where the ESL students or poverty areas are. So I think that's a good thing. Gives more flexibility to the budget. We've been doing the foundation budgeting for over 30 years. It's time for a change. It's time to make sure that the money goes where it's needed. And so I applaud them for the work that they've done. It'll be a continuous cycle, but so far I think we've made some strides.
Good. Well, thank you for coming and giving us an idea of what we should be looking for going into this session. More importantly, thank you because I know the dedication it takes to do your job.
Well, I appreciate it.
Great.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back right after this.